back to the Chow Time Pod. It's your host, Red. I got a video today from whatever.com. This is Brian explaining literally listing every single thing that men are facing. And most of these women never knew and actually don't even care. But he actually lists almost everything. So it's actually a good list. So please like and subscribe down below. I'd really appreciate that. And let's get to that chow. It's chow time.
What do you think is when men have that's
like
not
unfairness
equal?
towards men?
Yeah. Like I understand like the draft, for instance, but I was wondering what other.
You mentioned the draft. So yes, men are the exclusive subjects to military conscription. Women are entirely exempt. So men are far more likely to die in war. On that note, men throughout all of human existence have been 99.999% of military casualties. And I would argue that men, just in the context of warfare, just on this sole grievance, I would say that the suffering men have experienced when it comes to warfare outweighs all of women's collective grievances probably 1,000 times over. You might not like to hear that, but I'd encourage all of you to watch All Quiet on the Western Front. It's available streaming on Netflix. War is brutal in ways you cannot imagine. That film cannot even begin to capture the degree to which men have exclusively suffered throughout all of human history. And so,
on that note, someone mentioned Cambodia and how he never knew anything about Cambodia in one of my comments, and this is true, right? So there is a movie about the Cambodian War, which is called The Killing Field. It's like an older movie in the 90s, and it literally depicts what happened in the Cambodian Khmer Rouge era, which Khmer Rouge is red Cambodians. That's what the direct translation is. So these were the communist Cambodians that took over. In that movie, there is a river of bones. The river, there's so many dead people that they just threw their bodies into the river, or into like a river-like thing, and the bones piled so high to where you'd have to actually climb over it to go cross. My father told me everything in that movie is correct, 100% correct. The only thing that is incorrect is the sheer magnitude of everything. My father said that river of bones and all those landmines and things were 10 times worse in real life than what the movie depicted. I was blown away by the movie already. When I watched it with my father, he said that is almost not even close to what exactly it looked like. So yes, people have no clue the horrors of war. Even personally, I do not know because I was born just a little bit out of it.
So not to say that women haven't faced their own specifically female disadvantages, but war is like on a totally other level. Somewhat related to war, men are more likely to have post-traumatic stress disorder. Men are more likely to be homeless. 80% of the homeless are men. Of the people who are homeless, men are more likely to be rough sleepers. So when women are homeless, they're much more likely to get into shelters. They're much more likely to be homeless, but in a car, for example. The people that you often see sleeping on the street when it's cold, generally speaking, the vast majority of those are men. Men are more... Should I keep going?
Yeah.
I got more. Okay, men are more likely to commit suicide. 80% of suicides are men. Men are more likely to be alcoholics. Men are more likely to be drug addicted. Men are more likely to be incarcerated. Men are more likely to have harsher conditions when incarcerated. Men are more likely to be in solitary confinement. Men are more likely to receive the death penalty. Men are more likely to be prosecuted than women for the same crime. Men are more likely to receive harsher punishment than women for the same crime. Men are more likely to be the victim of a violent crime. Men are more likely to be murdered. Men are more likely to be the victim of police misconduct, police brutality, and police killing. Men are more likely to be falsely accused of a crime. Men are more likely to be victim to a miscarriage of justice. Men are more likely to be wrongfully convicted of a crime. Men are more likely to be wrongfully executed. Men are more likely to work a shitty job. Men are more likely to work a dangerous job. Men are more likely to get injured at work. Men are more likely to die at work, 93%. Men are less likely to do well in school. Men are less likely to graduate from high school. Men are less likely to go to college. Men are less likely to receive scholarships. Men are less likely to graduate from college. Men are more likely to drop out of high school. Men are more likely to drop out of college. Men are more likely to be divorced by their partner. Men are more likely to pay child support. Men are more likely to pay alimony. Men have fewer social safety nets. Men die earlier than women. It's about 5 years. I think it's more in some countries. Here's a big one. Men have their penises mutilated at birth in a vast majority of Western countries.
I feel bad for the men that had to go through it. I was lucky I was born in another country, so I didn't have to go suffer through this.
It's not all countries, but a lot of Western countries, there's circumcision. And there's certainly female genital mutilation in some countries, but male circumcision is much more practiced than female circumcision. Men are the exclusive victims of paternity fraud. Men have no reproductive rights. Men have no abuse or domestic violence shelters.
Correction on that one. We have one that accepts men.
Men are more likely to be victim of a hate crime. Men are less likely to get custody of their children. Boys are more likely to die from child maltreatment. Boys are more likely to be victims of infanticide. Boys are less likely to be adopted. Men are more likely to die without having children. Men are more likely to die as virgins. Men are less likely to reproduce. Historically, reproductive success was 17-1 in women's favor. Men are more likely to be body shamed without any repercussions to the shamer. Men are more likely to be body shamed for traits out of their control. And men are discriminated against due to diversity quotas. That's a few.
And I understand
Just a few.
I feel
Just a
really
few.
bad to be a man in this world. I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of pains you guys suffer through, but my point being is that women didn't create these, and men created these.
They do not care. They do not care. They'd rather still put all the blame onto us and the patriarchy because we did it to ourselves.
Issues.
Some of these issues.
A lot of the issues. I think that a lot of this is based on the patriarchy.
Well, I reject that there's a patriarchy, but
You reject that there's a patriarchy?
I reject that there's a patriarchy, yes.
Wow.
How was that, Chow? That was more for the women in the channel to kind of actually see hear a listed form of the things that men face that women do not face. And the women on the panel here have no fucks to give whatsoever. Blamed it on the patriarchy and blamed it that the patriarchy said it this way. This is why men are the way they are. Why do we even talk? Why do we even tell women anything? They really do not give a fuck. Please like and subscribe down below. I really appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys next time. It's chow time.